Beyond the love for a genuine blue-collar, black and white premiership player, what is the true cost of keeping Brayden Maynard on the list? Yes, you're here and we're going to unpack how much Brayden Maynard is worth to Collingwood, and will we go through the troubles of retaining him in free agency next year. Now, right off the bat, I would love to keep Brayden Maynard, but let's be pragmatic and understand whether it is worth it, and we're going to look at multiple different variables to consider that. So let's get right into it. Firstly, this is a business and it's not marriage. We've seen this happen time and time again with beloved players going from club to club. So let's not put on our rose-colored glasses and adore beyond making any sense. Let's have a look at this properly. And the first thing we're going to look at is the list. Where do we stand? What contracts do we have? What are our positional needs? And what's our age demographic, right? So contracts, we've got someone like Harry Perriman, who's just come on for really good money. We've got Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos in the picture. And as long as they're in this picture, along with someone like Jordan De Goey, doesn't matter whether we have players on one-year contracts, at some point, these players are going to be asking for what they truly deserve. And unfortunately, someone's going to miss out. It's not going to be Nick or Josh. They're on extended contracts. Jordan De Goey isn't too close to his contract ending. So you just have to ask about players like Brayden Maynard. Brayden Maynard was drafted at the end of 2014, which would make him 30 at the end of next year. Yes, I know, sounds crazy. So he would have served the club for more than 10 years at that point. And beyond 2025, we don't know where Collingwood will stand. So that's why I have a feeling this contract negotiation might be put on hold till later in the year, because we want to see where the list is going. And because Brazzy falls into this bracket where he's 29 going 30 next year and could be offered a lucrative contract beyond 4 or 5 years for job security on really good money, it does change a few things. And I'll explain to you why it's not the be-all, end-all if we lose him as an unrestricted free agency. There is a compensation for Collingwood in that, and that opens up a new world for us when it comes to free agency elsewhere and draft picks. Looking at the positional needs within the list, we need a genuine key defender. I'm not sure if Brayden Maynard is exactly that. He plays his third key tall at times and uses the ball very well. So he's in between the third key and the fourth key, somewhere between Jeremy Howe and maybe Charlie Dean put together, something like that to a lesser extent. He can play on Toby Green and he can do a job or try his best on a Jeremy Cameron at times, but he's never been a true lockdown 101 defender on the tools. One thing we won't know is, what does Brazzy want? Does he want 900k going into his next contract on a yearly basis? Is he going to do the team thing? Which I use that loosely because it's difficult to be selfless in a business. You need to look after yourself. And if you've put in all the hard yards, you'd be Brayden Maynard going in with your player manager and telling the club, hey, I've done this. I'm a premiership player. I wear my heart on my sleeve every week, week in, week out. Give me what I feel like I deserve. So if it is the upper end of 900k, even with the total player payments, the salary cap increasing year on year up until 2027, someone is going to miss out on the money they feel like they deserve. Continuing on with what Brazzy wants, is there potentially a role change that another club could offer him that Collingwood can't offer? Is there a desire to play in the midfield? Does he want to completely turn the room upside down, go forward, or just completely change the aspect of the way he goes about his footy moving forward? I'd say the latter moving forward is extremely unlikely, but he's started in the midfield at times at centre bounces on Patrick Cripps in the past. I'm sure everybody at a certain point in their career would like to try their hand in the midfield. So is that something that a club can offer Brayden Maynard, along with the good money, the 900k that he might potentially ask for example? There has never been a better time for a team like North Melbourne to have a crack at someone like Brayden Maynard. They need the leadership. They need the tenacity that he brings into games. And his brother works at North Melbourne in some capacity. I can't remember what role it was, but he definitely does work there. So is that a way in for Brayden Maynard? What does Collingwood lose with Brayden Maynard potentially going somewhere else? His grunt, his 1%ers, his leadership, he's reliable on his left foot, versatile in defensive matchups. I mentioned he can play on Toby Green and he can play tall as needed as well. We've all seen that, but let's highlight some statistics when it comes to the cons, all right? So 2024, he averages 17 disposals and 1 intercept mark. Relatively a down year, much like the rest of the team. Across the board, besides Nick Dacos, Darcy Cameron, and a couple other players, everybody had a down year compared to 2023 and so forth. But if we look at the years gone by for Brayden Maynard, 2023, 2022, same touches, but just more intercept marks. So still had 17 odd touches, but definitely was collecting more intercept marks. In 2023, he had an intercept and a half, and in 2022, he had 2 intercepts per game. In 2021, where he was the All-Australian 40, the extended squad, he had 22 touches and was very reliable one-on-one. And the one-on-one stat can be a little bit misleading at times, but this seems look, if it's Collingwood going to Brazzy saying, hey, we're looking at one-on-one stats, they're not as good as what they used to be. That could be a leverage point for the club to negotiate lesser money. I'm not saying that's something a club would do, pointing out stats like that. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but perhaps that is a strategy. So looking at 2023 and 2024, Brazzy lost 34% of his one-on-ones, but in 2021 and 2022, he had double the one-on-one contests, but lost only 21% of those contests. So less contests in 23 and 24, but had a higher loss rate compared to when he had more contests in a one-on-one at a 21% loss rate. So something I was able to pick out, and look, it's food for thought. It definitely might turn a few heads and ask the question, is Brayden Maynard, is he individually getting worse in one-on-one contest, or is that as a result in 2024, especially when the ball got moved against us a lot more swiftly than it has in the past? So it's something we probably have to watch games very closely to point out, okay, well, Brazzy lost that one and he lost this one, but it's hard to tell, but I thought I'd put that one forward to you guys and let me know what you think in the comment section. Now, the final point, if we do let him go, we will be compensated based on a few variables, right? There's different types of compensation bands. Depends on how many years he'd get, and at 29 going 30, he'd probably be asking for a 4-year contract on a decent salary, I think, with potentially a player option depending how many games he is able to play in his final year. Say he plays 15 games in his final year of a contract and then has the option to extend. Now, being an unrestricted free agent, because he would have served the club for more than 10 years by the end of next year, he would be left or would leave for nothing. We wouldn't be able to match the offer. However, what would happen is, like I said, based on what a rival club might offer him, North, for example, they offer him $900K at 4 years. AFL goes, yep, cool, ticks this. We'll give you a first-round pick in compensation. It's usually in line with where your first-round pick usually stands, but it is interesting without Collingwood, without a first-round pick next year, it does bring us back into the scope of that, depending on how the AFL work it out, because we don't have a pick there. Probably will depend on where we finish in the ladder. So if we finish 5th, we might get a late first-round pick. And that brings us back into the draft conversation next year, but also gives us 3 first-round picks bundled together with the new AFL rules to potentially replace someone like Brayden Maynard at a higher caliber when it comes to intercept prowess, one-on-one lockdown, or we can go midfielders. We can start to look at Luke Davies-Uniacke or Matt Rao or someone who not many of you are taking a liking to, Oscar Allen. Like, there's a lot of players to consider in free agency, pre-agents. It does open a lot of doors for us. And while we might lose someone like Brayden Maynard, we do get something back in return that could be better than the player we have right now. My overarching point from this video is we do need to be objective at times. Doesn't matter how much we love a player. We know, Brazzy's got white line fever. He's everything that Collingwood embodies. He's the makeup of the cloth of the black and white. I understand that. But we can't put one player on a pedestal no matter what. We don't get caught in a love haze if it means there is potential for us to move past Brayden Maynard and maybe get something to work with in return, talking about that compensation pick that we would get. If we were to get poor compensation, it wouldn't be of consideration. But I would imagine if we lost someone like Brayden Maynard, we would get a first round compensation pick. You look at Josh Battle, Harry Perryman, albeit a little bit younger. I'd still like to think we'd get a first round pick in compensation for Brayden Maynard if we lost him. And those are my thoughts there. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Go Pies.